ridiculous.
Well, here's the thing.
Maybe. Sometimes.
Tell me about this. I want to know more.
Oh, yeah. No.
Holy cow.
We've had a lot of fun.
So I got up at 5:30 this morning.
Hey.
To drive my daughter to the high school to meet her friends so they could watch the sun rise. Because apparently this is a tradition because they did it last year. They had to do it this year.
At the school?
Yeah, because it's sort of centrally located and there's a hill like behind it. Yeah. And so they go sit on top of the hill.
Is it just them or is there a group?
Well, it's just her friends.
It's not like her entire class. Or...
No. It's just a small group of her friends. The ones whose parents are crazy enough to drive them to school at 5
I was going to say.
Shouldn't they be celebrating the last couple of days of being able to sleep late? What the heck?
Well,
go watch the sunset, children.
Then she came home and went back to bed and stayed there for hours, so...
Now, did you have to wait for her while she watched the sunrise?
No, I didn't. She got a ride home.
Oh, thank God.
Thank goodness. And I could have gone back to bed, but I instead was very productive.
Yeah.
So I'll probably crash hard later, but it feels good so far. Not good enough for me to get up at 5:30 on a regular basis, but
yeah,
it does.
I do that
good.
Sometimes. I fall asleep on the couch and then I wake up at like 4 a.m, and it seems like if I go back to bed, it's going to be really hard to wake up. So I just start doing work, and boy, am I productive! It's so good. And then that night, I'm asleep on the couch 3 hours earlier than I was before.
Right. Exactly. Yes.
There's always a price.
Yes. So this is it. This is the last gasp before school starts. So
and when does school start for your kids?
It starts the Friday before Labor Day, the day this podcast drops. The school district felt it would be a good idea to have the first day of school be on the Friday before a holiday weekend. Because everybody is invested in going to school on a Friday.
Why does that even make sense? Nobody's going to show up.
I know. I don't know.
And are they going to give homework?
I don't know. We were talking, I was carpooling a couple girls yesterday and we were talking about that because I said, is there a football game that night? And there is. So they're all going to want to go to the football game. Why. And then my daughter's friend said, oh, but what if we have homework? And I said, well, you'll have 3 whole days to do it. So, I mean, I don't know how much homework they could get in the 3 hours of school they're going to have on Friday.
Well, it will be homework for you, right? Do they send home a whole bunch of forms for parents to sign out, or do they do that online nowadays?
It's pretty much already done. If it might be like syllabi that need to be signed. Yeah, right. That's probably the extent of it. That I would have to do. So.
Wow.
I have nobody going back to school, but school, since we live next to the high school, we do observe back to school because it's back to not being able to get down our street 2 times a day. But they start, I think, next Wednesday. So not only do they wait till after the weekend, but they wait an extra day, which seems merciful. But it amused me because we have this citywide project going on, apparently, of ripping up streets and changing gas pipes beneath them that has been going street by street and making traffic problems all through the summer. And they did some preliminary work on our street earlier in the summer, and then they never came back. And it's like somebody in some office somewhere said, oh my gosh, we have to get to that street before school starts because that's where all the parents park and turn around and drop kids off. And if we have the street torn up and blocked off, it will be a catastrophe. So they were here yesterday tearing up our street.
There will be a revolt for sure.
Wow.
It would not have been pretty. So my bathroom renovation, which I've been talking about here for a while, is of course now scheduled to start next week, just when school is starting. And I have to tell the guys, you don't want to come between these hours. If you want to be able to get in my driveway or park in front of my house with a big truck, avoid these times.
You got to get here before.
It's like you
7.
couldn't have done this in. Yeah, exactly. You couldn't have done this in June or July when the street is completely empty. No. You have to wait till the first bleeping week of school. So hopefully it will not be a problem. But you can barely turn down our street with a car in drop off and pick up hours, much less with a truck. So
Wow.
hope for the best and hope that it will be a short time of work. It's one of these things where they have to tear stuff apart and then an inspector has to come and look at it. And then they have to put it back together and then an inspector comes to look at it. So it could be an indefinite amount of time that I have no bathroom and no bedroom. But the couch is comfy.
That's right.
I have slept on it many, many times.
Well, next week we'll have to get an update on all that situation.
Yes.
The street, the bathroom, the school starting.
And what we also have going on right next door to me is band camp right now, which you all may have an opportunity to enjoy because I hear the drums starting up. So if you suddenly hear, band fanfares in the middle of this podcast, that's what it is. Hello, Mustang Band. It's band camp time.
It's just a
I have
shout
a front
out.
row seat.
Yes, I think it would enhance our podcast.
I think so too. A little musical accompaniment.
That's right. Well, let's say hello to everyone and welcome to Parenting Roundabout, a weekly podcast about the things that parents are talking about, obsessing about, and complaining about right now. I'm Catherine Haleko, and with me today, along with the Mustang Band, is Terri Mauro.
Who definitely did not get up to see the sunrise.
And Nicole Eridix.
Hello.
Closer to sunrise out there in California than the rest of us. So today on the podcast, we're going to talk about kids' independence in the kitchen on our Friday speed round. We will share some stuff we like on the Roundabout Roundup and do some shameless self-promotion. But first, we're going to check in on our professional lives and goals. Nicole, you're going to kick this one off, right?
Well, this kind of came to me as I realized last week, well, a couple things. So, as you know, we moved here, and I forgot to mention this last week, but we moved here exactly 10 years ago. So
Wow.
it's the
Happy anniversary.
10-year anniversary of moving to America. And at that point, when I moved, I didn't have the work permit to work here.
Oh.
So previously, I was an elementary teacher, and I was teaching grade 3. And so when we moved down here, I didn't have a work permit, so I couldn't teach, and I had to reassess my life.
And that's why we had your wonderful podcast.
That's right, that's right.
And blog writing.
So I switched gears and started my blog and started the podcast with you, Terri.
Mm-hmm.
And then Terri came up with a bright idea. Why don't you write a book?
We're blaming this on me now.
Yeah.
Okay.
I hope you feel the weight on your shoulders.
You were perfectly happy. And then Terri said, write a book.
Yeah. So I thought, hey, yeah, this is something I could do. Ha, ha, ha.
Sucker.
And sort of started that process and never really thought that that was something I would ever do because I always thought I would be teaching in the classroom until I retired. So I had to switch gears with my career and career goals, so to speak, and then work on this book. And now the book is done, and I'm thinking, okay, what next? So I need your help, y'all.
Hi.
Time for
I don't
another
know
book.
what I want to do now, and I don't know where I see myself.
Oh, wow.
I don't know, 5, 10 years, maybe next month. Who knows?
Well, are you able now to go back to teaching? Do you have a work permit now?
I do. I actually have the work permit. I have my teaching credential, my California teaching credential.
Wow.
I still need to take a U.S. history class, which just the thought of...
Just go see Hamilton, and they
Yeah,
probably
right.
stamp your
Call it a day.
card on the way out.
But, I don't... It's been 10 years. I don't know if I want to go back. I guess that's the thing. Maybe, going back to the classroom isn't even on my wish list anymore. It's not
Really?
even my goal. I kind of feel like I've been there, done that. And I've been exposed to so many other things now.
Yeah.
And what's next? What can I do next? So that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm anxious to hear, I don't know, what your career goals are or what your status is right now, what you hope to be or want to be, where you see yourself in 10 years. Is there anything inspirational you can share with me?
Establish first, are you looking for something to fill your time, or are you looking for something that makes money? Because blogging and podcasting and writing books those are all great things to do and very fulfilling.
You don't make money.
Not so much with the money.
Yeah. So for the last 10 years, I haven't made any money doing any of that. So yeah, it would be nice to kind of translate what I'm doing into
I can't help you.
paying position. So that's kind of where I'm at. So what about you guys?
You're asking me at an awkward time, Nicole.
Pardon me?
Since this podcast will go out on the day after I lose a big freelance gig. So
no.
I guess you guys got any ideas for me?
Are we in the same boat?
Other than haunting Media Bistro on a daily basis and saying, come on, chop. But I still have 2 other freelance gigs, and freelance, I mean, I've always wanted to be a freelancer, and I've had a really good run of good paying freelance work, so I still have some, and there is the constant, do I want more money or more time? So I have now been on the less time, more money side, and I will enjoy being on the more time, less money side right up until the point where I start to panic about money again, which set your watches. Right. I give myself about a week and a half. And next week will be very enjoyable. I will sleep late. I will work on my poor, musty, cobwebby website, and I will think, this is great. And then the first bunch of bills will come in, and I'll go, I got to find something else.
Wait a minute.
So let's backtrack a bit then, Terri. Did you always want to be a freelance writer?
Well, I always wanted to be a writer. I've had a long career in which I have done lots of different writing and editing things. I've worked in offices and I've freelanced. I've gone back and forth. I tend to work someplace for about 5 years, and then I either get bored with it or there are things on my desk that I don't want to do, and the thought comes into my mind, hey, if I quit, I don't have to do that. So
that's one way to do
it. So then I go...
Oh, really?
It's more than one job I have left for that reason.
Can I do that with housework and cooking? I don't want to do it. I quit.
Yeah. So, I've gone back and forth between office jobs, and now, I don't know if I could get an office job anymore, honestly. I don't feel like I'm that old, but from a career point of view, it's become clear to me that I am.
Yeah, that's how I feel about teaching.
And I've been in offices, and I've seen the way offices are now with their open plans, and there are many attractive young people sitting at long desks at computer stations, and I'm thinking, A, I don't want to work here, and B, I could be their mom or possibly grandma, and I don't think they want me working here either. So it seems like freelancing and remote work is the way it's going to be for the rest of my career, which will probably be until I curl up and die, because I can make money, I'm going to keep doing it. So, given that I have young adults at home who are not proving to be any more employable in the workplace than I am. So it's like my husband and I are going to be working forever. But, it's hard with freelancing because, you work pretty hard and sometimes you do pretty good and sometimes you don't. And there's no real predicting it. And there is no job security,
right.
And also, I feel like the pay has just plummeted. I have been freelance writing for a long time, and it's just, it's disturbing how the pay rates have changed. And I took it very personally for a long time. Like, I think I'm better than this. Why am I not getting paid accordingly? And I had to accept that it's really not me, it's them, because it's just changed. It has,
Yeah. The per piece rate is just ridiculous now. I can't go back to that. Huh. And, you can find some remote work that's not bad. I have a couple of jobs that I'm pretty happy with the money that's coming in from them, including this one I just lost. But, it's really... I'm having sort of a philosophical dilemma with it, which I had when I left About, and then I sort of made peace with it when I got this Friendship Circle gig, and now I'm back in that same thing, which is that there is so much stuff out there. There is so much stuff. There is stuff that's written by people who know what they're talking about. There's stuff written by people who are fine writing for free or for $5 a post. There's so much stuff, and I feel like, do I want to contribute to that stuff? Do I want to add to that enormous glut of stuff? I mean, I look at the jobs that are available for freelancers, and there's some I can do. I look at some jobs, and it's like, you will write 20 blog posts a week. Don't write 20 blog posts a week. OMG, there is so much stuff. Right. When I think about that, and that's why there's so much stuff.
The world does not need 20 blog posts.
That's why there's so much stuff, is because people are churning out 20, 30, 40 blog posts a week, and you can't write quality stuff. There's not that much to say, people. There's really not. There's just, okay, here's a topic. I'm going to Google it. I'm going to stitch it together into 400 words, and I'm going to get my whatever. That's just so. But if you're not going to do that, what are you going to do? What do we do as freelancers if we're not going to churn out stuff? I don't know. I don't know where we go. We churn out podcasts. That's what we're doing now. We're just sitting down and talking, and we're recording it, and we're putting it out there in the world. And I don't know what to do. It's like, so it's every time I come to the end of a freelance job or I'm actively looking for stuff, I'm like, am I just making the world worse by taking this job on? And then the second question is, but how much does it pay?
Right.
Well, maybe, okay.
Right.
Maybe I'll make my peace with that. But so, yeah, I'm not feeling like I'm on real secure career footing. I feel like you, Nicole, I feel like maybe I need to go off in a different direction.
Yeah.
But I don't know what direction that would be. And the web has made it so much easier for freelancers in terms of, I remember the days when you put things in a self-addressed stamped envelope and you mailed it out and you waited 2 weeks and maybe you got an acceptance for us, whatever amount. I mean, the pay was much better, but you had so much less opportunity to get it.
Right.
Maybe you got one of those form letters, which nobody has to really write anymore, I guess. But so it's like there's so much opportunity, but it's crap. So it's like, and the chance to really have a good freelance career is doing stuff that you value for decent pay.
Right.
Is harder because everybody can do it now. And there are tons of people happy to write 30 posts a week for no money. So I'm depressed now. Thank you, Nicole. I'm just gonna go lay down in a dark room.
I'm already there.
I'm having an existential career crisis.
Exactly.
Y'all just go ahead.
Catherine, you're our last hope for this podcast discussion today.
Tell us something good.
Give us something inspiring.
I'm a member of this of a Facebook group that's for people who were formerly magazine staffers. And so this, as you can imagine, there's quite a bit of angst that happens in there, and just like, well, what's next is the question that everyone's asking, and I don't know the answer to that because I kind of fell into freelancing because I moved away from New York City, and I was an editor. If I had my choice, I would rather be editing, and it's a lot harder to do that on a freelance remote basis. Well, or, now I think it's easier because there's websites with distributed workforces.
Right.
But, I'm still having trouble connecting with the right kind of thing that would allow me to do that. So, of course, I went and wrote a couple of children's books because we know that is a really good way to make money. And to even get them published in the first, to get anyone to even look at them in the first place would be a major. At least
that's kind of a new creative direction. It's exercising some new muscles. That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
So have you got are you putting it out there to publishers already?
That is my next step, which I haven't mustered up the strength to do yet. I have 2 drafts that are one of them I think is pretty much ready. The other one needs just a little bit of tweaking, and then it could go. But, you know, the thought of just sending it out there into the void is, it's hard. It's hard. So I haven't done that.
Do you have any contacts anywhere?
Contacts.
Well, I might. I need to kind of work that angle. So
yeah, surely from your magazine days, somebody's at a publisher.
Yeah. I'm going to work on it. So yeah, I mean, that would be, but again, I don't really feel like that's a viable career for the next, 20 years of my working life.
Yeah.
I don't see myself as the next, J.K. Rowling or Eric Carle that's going to churn out.
There's a big gap between those two. Or what kind of children's books are you writing, Catherine?
Well, they're not Harry Potter. They're not novels. They're picture books for sure. So,
yeah, I've started a couple of novels rattling around in my head, but I just can't get the energy or motivation to do it anymore.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I had that great American novel Fire, but it's gone. It's out. A novel is long. When could I write I got too spoiled writing blog posts, which are done so fast.
Right.
And now, really? How many thousands of words?
Yeah, I mean, a children's book a picture book is short, but it's hard to do it right.
Wow. So you're kind of, I wouldn't say you're in the same boat, but
I mean, I kind of feel like
you're looking ahead and wondering.
Yeah, I am definitely. Yeah. Since, like Terri, I stopped doing my about.com, long-term freelance ownership of a site.
We got spoiled a little bit.
It's hard.
Yeah. I still have a website that I poured a lot of effort into early on, which probably led to the about.com site. After, for which I abandoned it completely. And now...
Yeah, it's a good website, Terri.
I was on there yesterday, and the Amazon ads are broken, and there was an image I had somewhere else that was broken, and there's like stuff that I put up for other people that's way, way dated, and I just really need to go in there and do a spring cleaning, which I will do unless I get other work.
In which case, never mind.
So, yeah, it's the friend you go and pay attention to until a more appealing friend comes along with money. Right. So, it seems like the point of this podcast is, hey, y'all, anybody out there got work? We like work.
We like work, but we're not quite sure what work we
want. Make us an offer. Oh, it's hard. And it's, everybody in my house is always kind of constantly looking for work. So I'm always
thinking about
looking.
it.
I feel like I spend a large chunk of my day looking around for something for somebody.
Right.
And
and I at least don't have to do that. I mean, you're doing it like times 4 every day.
I am every day.
Hard.
Yeah, and it's, I used to always pride myself on being employable. I could always get a job. If I freelanced for a while and then I decided I wanted to work, I could put my resume out there. I could get something. That is not the case anymore. Mm-hmm. And it's a little scary, Yeah.
It's
like, what am I if I am not the person people want to hire for things?
Yeah.
It's a lot harder. And then you fear, am I going to be down to nothing but the extremely low paying opportunities, $5 here, $5 there. And when you start to think, how many of these do I have to do to make the money I need to make? And it's, $5,000. It's not going to work. You're looking over at Mechanical Turk over on Amazon, 15 cents a hit.
Oh,
okay.
Gosh.
Oh, boy.
That's rock bottom. So...
Which is, it's not where you want to end your career, right? You want to go out on a high note.
It's not. And I mean, I do have gigs that I'm working now that are satisfactory, and I'm happy with them, and they're bringing money in. So I'm not really at the point of desperation yet, but freelancing especially, you're always looking for your next gig. Even when you're happily employed, you're saying, I got to line up other things.
Or you should be if you're not. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, both you and I, Catherine, I think we had that About gig, and that was a really good gig for a pretty long time. And then it started to fall apart for a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then you're looking for something like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So good luck with your books, everybody. That'll be the thing.
Yeah.
That'll be it.
Yeah.
That's the thing to pin your hopes to.
Mm-hmm.
As I have my gathering dust, but for you, it'll work.
That's right.
We'll see.
I am free and available for blurbing.
Good. We're going to be calling on you.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Absolutely.
I have author of that I can use.
Yeah.
So that's maybe all my books are good for, but
Hey,
they make a nice credit.
I think that's going to work
Awesome.
great for Nicole
I'm gonna have to
since
hit you
hers
up.
is educational. You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and I'm hitting you up for Amazon reviews,
Oh,
too, FYI.
Sure. I'll find something sincere to say.
Yeah.
When does your book come out, Nicole? Does it have a publication date? Is it whenever we get around to it?
It's no, actually, it's now in the more formal process of publishing. So it's gone to the marketing team, and then from there it'll go into production, I believe. Like it's got to go marketing, and then there's, I think, some copy editing stuff. And anyway, so they're saying
Tell
spring.
them you know an excellent copy editor if they need help.
Okay, I will. I'll let them know.
In the market for more work.
Yeah. Yeah, so I don't have an exact date, but it will be in the spring. But it's moved on. I haven't touched it in a month, so that's exciting.
Feels good. Have they sent you like a book saying, here's how to do all the work of marketing your book? Have fun. That's what I got
You
from
know,
my
actually,
publisher.
I got a email, and it listed how they're going to market it. They're going to kind of, all the different ways. So it's,
Well, that's nice.
They'll do, sounds like they'll do quite a bit. So I'm happy about that. Yeah.
Well,
and
good luck.
then, of course, I don't know. I mean, this is kind of now the fun part, I feel like.
Yeah.
Now that the hard part's all over, the writing part, because now I get to focus on something different.
That's true.
Getting the word out.
Like, for example, today I'm going to get my headshot taken for the cover of the book.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah. So, there's these little things that keep me going along the way.
Yeah, well, you have the not fun part of just waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting and waiting for something to happen. It's hard work when it's on your desk, and it's joyous when it moves off your desk, and then it's like, I now have no control whatsoever over anything, and all I can do is just sit here.
Well, I feel like I've already been through the worst of that because it did sit for close to a year.
Yeah.
After I'd finished it.
Oh, that is
And
frustrating.
it hadn't been looked at because they were going through some staffing changes.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's moving. It's back in the machine. It's moving. Moving along on the conveyor belt.
Yay.
Yeah, well, good luck, and if it
Thank
hits
you.
and if it does well, and then you will want to write more books, and that will be your career change right there.
Right
Then
there.
you will, your
Writing
career will
books.
be
Oh.
writing books, going to workshops and stuff, and sitting at a book table and signing your book and talking to people about it, and then going on to you would be good at that. I could see you doing that. I was not so good
Yeah,
at that.
because you
but-
like to. Yeah, I mean, you're an educator.
to
You
talk
like
to
to talk to people. You like to share.
Whereas I like to hide in my
Well,
room.
I mean, you've done things for your blog where you've done seminars and online teaching and stuff. So
Yeah, you can get speaking gigs and stuff.
yeah.
You can teach classes.
I could. Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess, you know what? I'm going to explore that. I haven't given it a lot of serious thought, but yeah, maybe that could be something I could, I hate flying though. Do I have to fly anywhere for that?
You should be able to do teleconferences. Tell them you're only up for remote conferences. Unless
Yeah.
it's someplace good and they'll send you first class and
There you
put
go.
you up someplace nice.
Actually, yeah, because I got an offer to go to Santiago, Chile last week. And as much as I would love to do that, if anybody from Santiago is listening, it's just not in my schedule right now.
I was looking at jobs and there was a copywriter job for Amazon and it said something like possible relocation and looked into it a little more. It was to Saudi Arabia. I'm like,
Not
To check out what sort of jobs they have for kids with disabilities. And stuff.
Yeah.
I'm guessing probably I'm better off here. Well,
I don't think Nicole would advise
a big change.
desert living. She doesn't.
No. Not at all.
or international moving.
Yeah.
No. Although I could be a consultant for how to move internationally. That's what I could do.
There you go.
I feel like I'm a pro at that.
That's your thing.
That's my thing.
That's a business.
Relocation specialist.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Oh.
And I have a friend who does she does that specific to schooling. I mean, specific to helping people figure out what school their kids should go to when they move.
Oh. Wow.
So,
that's a big responsibility.
Yeah, she's made a career out of that. So
Nice.
it's pretty cool.
Well, speaking of kids and going to school and being independent and allowing us to go do our career things while they take care of business, our speed round topic today is whether and when your kids started making their own meals, like especially for breakfast and lunch. Do you still make breakfast and lunch for them? Do they do it independently? Do they do it independently sometimes? I was noticing over the summer when my husband was home that my son was completely capable of making his own breakfast and lunch. But now that my husband is back at work and I am the one sort of responsible for making sure he eats, suddenly he needs help. So, and possibly the problem is that I feel guilty if I don't do it. So it's like, he's saying, Mom has to work, go get your own breakfast. I feel terrible. So I was going to ask you guys, do your kids do their own thing meal-wise? My daughter has for a very long time been completely independent in her breakfasting and lunching. My son, apparently, it goes back and forth.
Well, see, you have to frame it as not you can get your own because Mom has to work, but you can get your own because you're capable and
yes,
that.
You can get your own because you're 24 years old. Go add some milk to cereal. It's not that hard. But it's still, I feel like bad mom. Maybe it's a mother-son thing.
Well, yeah, because
we like to take care of them.
I still end up making my son's breakfast and lunch far too often also.
Yes.
Because he is perfectly capable, but he is very busy, playing video games and doing other things. So he cannot be bothered to eat anything. And then, of course, until he desperately needs something, and it's going to be something horrible.
Yes.
So it's a challenge. I'm trying to balance, his need to be, my need for him to be independent, his need for himself to be independent. I'm not sure where the grammar went there. His need to be independent, his perfectly capable hands that can make his own food.
Right.
But then the choices that he makes are not necessarily good. So
here's the other problem.
So what do you do? Because there's the natural consequences thing is definitely not working. And because the natural consequence is he will eat, cereal and candy for every meal. And he'll be perfectly happy with that.
Yeah.
So,
that's the hard part of independence.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, Nicole, obviously your son makes his own meals because he's not living at home. But how about your daughter? Does she expect you
He
to
doesn't make his own meals.
His girlfriend makes them?
His girlfriend does?
Let's backtrack a bit.
Okay.
I have failed miserably. I have failed. What would you say? I've successfully failed at not encouraging or not having my kids make their own meals. And I just kick myself all the time because my son, who, I tried teaching him how to cook, and I tried encouraging him to, get his own meals. When I worked, it was easier because he had to get his breakfast and his lunch. And then I'd come home and get dinner. But now that I've been at home, there's just somehow I fell into this role of
Yeah.
Getting them their breakfast, packing their lunch, having food ready for them when they get home. So my son went from that. And so then in grade 12, I'm like, that's it. You are no longer, I'm no longer making your lunches for you. You're in charge. And then, of course, even though I've got all the healthy stuff in the fridge, he doesn't take anything and he ends up getting just junk food throughout the day. So natural consequences didn't work. And then he moved out and I thought, okay, now's the time he's going to finally learn to cook for himself. But no, he lived in a frat house where cooking just did not exist because you couldn't even find the kitchen sink or the kitchen counter or the stove for that matter. And then from there, he started dating a lovely, lovely girl who loves to cook. So now she's cooking and he's eating what she cooks for him. And I just keep telling her, you are spoiling him. You don't realize.
And then does she say, pot calling the kettle black here, lady, or what?
And she goes, I like to do it. It's my favorite thing. So, but it's funny because every once in a while because we have a family chat on texting. So every once in a while, a comment, something will pop up from her and it will say, Josh, please put a pot of water on the stove and boil it. I'm coming home. So I think that's the extent of his cooking is she only trusts him to boil a pot of water.
Right.
And then my daughter, on the other hand, she's terrible. If I don't put something in front of her, she won't eat. I tell her, I think part of the problem too is that, so she has ADD and she gets hyper-focused when she is doing something and she'll literally forget to eat. And then when she finally realizes she has a raging headache from low blood sugar, she's and she's hangry, she'll want something to eat. But she is terrible. She won't put anything together either. So, and she used to bake. She used to do a lot of baking and which was great for us. But she's not interested anymore. So. Yeah, I have not done well in that department.
Oh,
I know.
Well, I feel a little better now.
Yeah. I
got 50% right.
I just had my cousin here as you know, I had relatives here recently from Australia, and her daughter, who is 15, she volunteers to make dinner. How did you do that? And she makes good meals too. So,
that's great.
Anyway.
We haven't been able to get our kids to necessarily do dinner for the family, but on nights, there's some nights where my husband and son go out to do something, and my daughter and I have dinner together at home, and she's in charge of dinner then. She will get the frozen fish and put it on a pan and put it in the oven, and frozen vegetables or whatever. Yeah. She makes dinner for me, and she's very proud of it. And I'm like, as long as I'm not doing the work, I'm very happy. Anything you want to serve is for, I never cook dinner anymore. But we're very into microwave things here for lunches and breakfasts. We usually have leftovers. The kids have leftovers, so it can be done.
Yeah,
he can do it. And if he's overhearing me saying this podcast, he will now be guilting me by doing. I'll do it. That's okay. But it's not that hard.
No. I don't make lunch. I extracted a promise from my husband when I think before I even was pregnant with my first child, that I would not make lunches because I hate it so much. Because I just always hated making my own lunch for work. So he, unwittingly agreed. Not unwittingly, he just, he agreed, not really realizing the magnitude of what he agreed to. So I don't make lunches for anyone, like packed lunches. So either my husband makes them, or the kids make them themselves, or they buy the school lunch, which generally tends to be the final
That's a good deal.
answer. But yeah, and what really bugs me is when he makes the kids lunches now, because I'm always telling him they need to do it themselves.
Yeah.
Don't do that for them. Don't do that for them. But
Right.
it doesn't really work because then they just don't do it. They just buy. I should just not put money in their account.
There you go. Starve.
But I can't let them
See if we
starve.
care.
Ugh, you know how it is.
Yeah.
We are conflicted
Yes.
with this topic as well, clearly. But what is for sure is that you can hear a new speed round every Monday through Thursday.
So now we are going to bring you some of the things we've read or seen or used recently that we want to shout out and share with you on our Roundabout Roundup. So, Terri, what do you have?
Well, if you hear sloshing and slurping sounds on this podcast, it is because I am sitting here with a large bottle of seltzer, which is my thing at the moment for drinking. We've shared here teas and other drinking things, so I'm going to make a shout out to Polar Seltzer, which is my beverage of choice for the last little while. It comes in a variety of flavors, all of which taste roughly the same, but what do I care? It's basically lightly flavored seltzer water. And it's relatively inexpensive at our supermarkets, and it comes in bottles, large bottles or medium-sized bottles. And since I'm the only one in the house who drinks them, I just, bring up a bottle for Mom from the refrigerator downstairs, and I slurp it down over a day or two, and then get another one. So it is quite delicious. I'm drinking cherry pomegranate as we record this podcast. They're fancy flavors, but again, as I say, it's like slight drop of natural flavor in a liter bottle of seltzer water. So there's one that was 3 berries, and one of the berries was pomegranate. Would you guys classify pomegranate as a berry?
No.
I think that's cheating.
No.
I don't remember what the other 2 berries were, but they were legit berries. But pomegranate, I think they were. Obviously, they have a lot of pomegranate natural flavors because most of their flavors have pomegranate in them. But anyway, shout out to Polar Seltzer Water. I've been enjoying it very much. And may it inspire you to try whatever inexpensive seltzer water is available to you.
Okay, Nicole, what are you going to recommend today?
Well, on the heels of our previous conversation about career goals,
You're going to plunge us back into despair now with this?
I'm going to share a website that I use to look for work.
Okay.
And it's called Indeed.com.
Yep. Indeed.
Yes.
As one of my many emails I get at 3 a.m.
Me too.
Indeed.
Indeed. So lots of stuff on there, and yeah, good luck searching.
So sad.
Well, I'm going to recommend something that's just funny and silly. It is an article on McSweeney's,
Yes.
which is a humor site, and it's called How to De-feralize Your Children for Back to School. And I can't specifically relate because my son has been like the exact opposite of feral because he's been like on the couch pretty much all summer. But this one will make you feel better about your back to school shopping because it has things on it like bathe them. This is best done in an open area out of doors where you won't be clogging your septic system with their waste. A firing line with a spray hose works very well. All being sure to focus extra attention to ears, armpits, and nether regions, all while avoiding direct contact, preventing further infection. After the preliminary rinse, a borax scrub will remove lingering soils, followed by a final pressurized rinse. And it goes on from there. And then the last thing is get them some notebooks or something.
That's cute.
So you will feel better about your back to school preparations if you read that.
Yeah, they have a lot of funny stuff there.
Okay.
That does not seem like it was written by somebody who's writing 20 blog posts a week
No.
for $5.
Yeah.
And now for our final segment today, we are going to do a little shameless self-promotion and direct you to some things on our sites that we think you should take a look at. Terri, how about you? What have you got?
Well, I am a person without a site today. I was going to mention my website, but really I do need to do some spring cleaning there first. It's not ready for guests at this point. And I have a couple of things on Friendship Circle that if you go over to circle.org/blog, you can see my last couple of blog posts, but I'm not going to promote them today. So I was going to mention my Facebook group. Well, what is it? A group? No, it's a Facebook page. The Facebook page that started out being my about.com Facebook page and then stopped being my about.com Facebook page. Sad violin. And is now just my Terri Mauro Writes About Special Needs Facebook page. So come over and visit me there. Say hey. If you have a job, mention it in the comments. If not, tell me what you would like to see on this internet that is so glutted with stuff. Is there something that is not being represented? Is there something that is not being done that I could add to the conversation? Let me know. Parents of kids with special needs, what are you looking for that you can't find? Are you looking for the experience of somebody who has kids who are adults now and things aren't going all that great? Probably not. But perhaps there's a niche that still needs to be filled. I'd like some advice. So visit me on Facebook, pat me on the head, send me in the right direction.
How about you, Catherine? Have you got anything to shout out this week?
Well, I will mention a piece that I wrote on highlights.com. Why kids whine? So, another one of those, like, do we need to hear this again? Because it's out there. But this one did incorporate a little bit of interesting research that I hadn't heard before. So check it out on highlights.com.
Great. And I hastily put something up this morning on my website.
We're a good procrastination remedy. Oh my gosh, I have to have something to mention on the podcast. I better write something.
And it's actually tied into my book. So as I begin to market it.
Has Nicole mentioned she's written a book?
Have I mentioned that for the 1,000th time?
It's just beginning.
And yeah,
yes,
it's only beginning, ladies. Just wait.
We can take out advertisements, Nicole. Let's talk.
That's right. Get your publisher in.
Are they paid?
What's your advertising budget for this book?
Oh, gosh. Yeah. That's a whole other issue. So I put something together on modifying lessons to include students with intellectual disabilities. So if you have a student who's on an IEP and you want them, or they are going to be fully included in a general education classroom, then there's a list of ways in which you can modify class lessons so that they can learn the same material or same form of material as their classmates.
I always
So
find
that's
that very
on my
interesting.
inclusive class blog.
All right.
Yeah.
And that is it for this uplifting and inspiring episode of Parenting Roundabout. We hope you enjoyed it and that you'll join us every week. We'll be here under the table in the dark, rocking back and forth. You can listen to podcast episodes on parentingroundabout.com or download them from Apple Podcasts. Please subscribe so that you get all of our podcasts and mini podcasts. You can also follow us on Twitter, where I am at Momitude, Catherine is at Cihaleko, and Nicole is at Nicole Eridix. You can also follow the podcast on Twitter at Roundabout Chat and look for us on Facebook, Pinterest, Tumblr, YouTube, and Instagram too. Best of all, stop by our podcast page at parentingroundabout.com and read recaps, find links on all the stories we mentioned, and talk back in the comments. Thank you to John Moran for providing our in and out music, and I wish everybody a great week.